ID. So you 5 at the door. All right. All right, you're good. You go inside. Welcome, everybody. I have SUPERDOWN with me. They're from Boston. What is up, you guys?
What's going on, Dave?
Hey, man, what's going on?
It is officially fall. With your record that was released today, it's Friday, October 20th. This episode's going to come out on Tuesday this next week. The existential dread has begun. Everyone's putting their beanies on and their flannels. You have activated fall for me. Is that kind of what you guys were going for this? Like working on this last couple of years?
Oh yeah. We were hoping to.
Yeah, I think as much as we're kind of like jovial people when we're chatting and stuff, the music's the way you get out the stuff that doesn't feel so comfortable sometimes, you know? And so I think just music wise, the record has that vibe, but I think Matt's lyrics even capture that on another level. You know what I mean? It drives the point home, I guess, even more.
1,000,000%. Now let's go around. Let's introduce everybody so we can kind of like get separate voices and people can recognize that.
Okay, I'm Dom. I play guitar, occasionally sing.
Awesome.
I'm Brendan. I play bass.
I'm Corey. I'm the drummer.
Awesome.
And I'm Matt, and I'm vocals and rhythm guitar.
Incredible. Well, it's such a pleasure to meet y'all. So I finished the record this morning, and the first thing I thought of was, and I probably should look this up because I wouldn't be surprised if they are from the East Coast, but did y'all listen to a lot of Mineral when you were making this record?
I'm
probably Dom's favorite band,
especially from a very young age. I was a big fan of that band, and they're definitely something that's still in my playlist today. And Chris projects, that definitely is a big one for me. I think more so than the other guys in the band. Not that they're dislikers, but that's definitely. I listen to a lot of that. The guitar player in that band's second guitar parts are definitely things I would strive for as the guy who writes the second guitar parts. So
I that was kind of like, okay, there's a bunch of stuff that's kind of happening here when I was listening to this. It feels, fall. It's got like, I'd say the largest part of the pie is like Mineral. That's what I was hearing. It was like the spiritual sequel. That's exactly what it feels like. But also for some reason I kept hearing like Fuel. Like if anyone listened to like a lot of Fuel in the early 2000s, it's got like, I'd say Matt, your voice is definitely leaning into the Mineral voice. But definitely Fuel for some reason, because there's something about the BPMs or anything. What were y'all's like early inspirations with like coming together with your song? Because this is like LP1, baby. This is like the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it was 2 years in the making. So, 2 years of and that's not including the entire writing process. That's kind of like, once we said, oh, Count Your Lucky Stars wants us to make a record. Let's do this right. Let's make a record. Let's not make an EP. Let's, really dive in. As far as musical stuff, I've been playing with Corey for about 13 years in different bands. I've played with Matt in a few bands for about the last 8 years. So we all had musical familiarity with each other. Brendan is the newbie to the crew. Matt, he was one of Matt's friends who he had played with in the past, and he brought into the crew. And, I think we had that comfortableness. At first, it was just going to kind of be like, hey, it's COVID. Let's just go in the room a couple times a week and have some fun. And, that turned into, wow, we're writing a lot of songs now. This is starting to turn into a band. We need a name. We need and that's how we kind of started this one. Guys, definitely feel free to chime in here with your personal thoughts on this one as well. Matt or Corey or Brendan, guys.
He said Fuel, which is funny because that song Shimmer is like, I don't know, it's like a quintessential 90s rock jam that I feel like as a kid growing up, I was listening to like Goo Goo Dolls, anything my brothers were playing on their radios, and it was like Goo Goo Dolls, Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Weezer, all that kind of stuff, and then anything that was on AAF or WFNX. So I think those were the bands that were being played. So that's funny that you say that.
Yeah, I feel like, I think a lot of people, maybe it's just about Shimmer, that song in particular, where I feel like it's part of everyone's DNA that's making music in their 30s right now. I think it changed everyone. I think that you could find a little bit of Shimmer in most songs that are being released nowadays.
Yeah, I think that era has like a lot of really good just rock songs, you know, like they have hooks, they have, you know, kind of that rock formula. And so it's really, it's kind of, we get a lot of 90s comparisons in general when people write about our band. You know, they're like, yeah, something's nostalgic, but not nostalgic about these guys. And I think those bands all influenced all of us pretty heavily. Like even just bands that weren't super popular and on the radar of that era were still like, we got to write a hooky song. We got to write a hooky song. And, you know, I think that like definitely made its impressions on all of us. Like I definitely know it made me for sure. So.
Yeah, no, when it comes to like, you know, you guys put out 4 singles beforehand. What were the kind of main decisions to pick those 4 songs from the record? And is it, do you think that you guys, there's kind of like this, you know, pattern now where, like the band Foxing, I think released like 6 singles before they released Draw Down the Moon. Is there a reason why you wanted to do almost half the record before it was even out?
Part of it was like the strategy of the label. Keith, you know, the way he works with the bands. I know it was also with the delay in vinyl production for a while. So when we submitted our record to CYLS, there was still quite an extensive waiting line for pressing. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, we submitted everything and Keith submitted it to them. And then it was like, okay, you're in the queue, you know? And yeah. So since we had only released 3 live songs, the idea for us is to use those songs as kind of like the building blocks to get people to know us beyond the 3 live songs. Mm-hmm. Also gave us a chance to release the video that we did that a very talented person, a woman from Lowell, that's actually Matt's relative, who's a filmmaker. You know, we got a video far beyond our dreams for what the budget that we had, you know? And so one of the songs was obviously the video. And so that gave us a kind of chance to launch even visually on top of now, here's some singles. We're giving you some music, finally, some recorded music. And, you know, you tie that in with the video. You know, that's probably why we did 4, because we had the video ready and loaded. But I think Keith's idea, and I think we agreed with this, is just to build, you know, like each building block gets more people on there. And so, you know, with each one of those that we had, you know, a write up in this or a write up in that, and that drove a few more people, and then some pre-orders happened. And then, you know, then you're just putting each block in to make the whole thing, you know, grow on it, you know, organically, I guess, like, cause we're just doing it one person at a time. So I think that was the idea for the main part, is just to introduce us to people like beyond 3 live songs, or if you're in New England and you see us live, you know.
Now the introduction thing is kind of interesting because you guys are kind of super groupy, where you guys come from a lot of other different bands, and this kind of sprouted outside of the other stuff that you do. So what other bands are you in? How did you all meet? Like the web, and I feel like New England underground rock scenes are like pretty tight knit, and it's like actually solid web work. So it'd be really cool to hear about that.
Yeah, so I'll do the start, then I'll let the boys add their 2 cents, because I kind of am the band storyteller. If you can't tell, I don't. Yeah,
the band speaker.
Yeah, so with us, Corey and I started playing together, like I said, about 13 years ago, through a Craigslist ad. The band, I was in another band. I was playing drums. By the way, all 4 of us started off playing drums in other bands.
What the fuck?
Band of drummers, dude.
We're a band of drummers, so.
Okay.
And the best drummers playing drums, so.
Well, I don't know about that, but.
But I got Dave Grohl syndrome at a certain point and just wanted to play guitar. And over time, I was in another band playing drums. and Corey answered a Craigslist ad, and Corey played exactly one show with that band, and everyone else took off to do like other things in life. So Corey and I just kind of continued, and we had that band. It was called Textbook Co-Pilot. It lasted for about 6 years. Corey and I were pretty much the only permanent members that had a very revolving cast. And during that time, we actually played with one of Matt's bands, and they were called Shire. And we played a show and, just connected. And then through a chance Facebook post I made when Textbook Co-Pilot was kind of in the downtime, me and Matt formed a little side band, and he played drums in that. And, then we did a band with Corey, Matt, and I for a little while called Sweet Avenue. And then life just took us all different places. And Matt went to Europe and for work and kept writing songs. And me and Corey formed another band for about 1.5 years called Fork Tie. And, then when Matt came back from Europe, it was kind of the middle of the pandemic. So Corey, Matt, and I just kind of got back together, and Matt said, "Hey, I got this friend of mine that's a bass player." And lo and behold, we started playing together, and that's how SuperDown got together as far as our lineage and bands. I'll let everyone else tell you a little bit more about their background. I mean, I myself have been playing in bands in Boston for about 25 years.
Incredible.
Or playing guitar or playing drums.
So far, I've heard, first of all, incredible band names. Textbook Co-Pilot is incredible. Is it Shire or was it Shiner?
Shire.
I was like, because Shiner is a great band, and I was like, you played in Shiner, that'd be crazy.
No, actually, Corey and I recorded a Textbook Co-Pilot record with Jay Robbins, and he recorded a couple of the Shiner records. So,
oh God, you see, that's what I love about this stuff, because it's always web work of everyone knows everybody in these weird ways. So yeah, Matt, you went to Europe, and you also played some bands beforehand. Did you always stay in the New England area though?
Yeah, I was born in Boston, and I was here until I moved to London. So I played in bands in Boston and the South Shore until then. When I moved to London, I went on to the Craigslist of London called Gumtree, which is the most British shit. And I'm just trying to find people to play with because I didn't know anyone. So I made a post, and I immediately found a band that just kicked their singer out. And I joined up with them, and we named the band Blissed Out. And we released a 3-song EP, and we were supposed to play one show, but then the COVID dropped, that story. So we released the EP, and I ended up moving back to Boston. And then SuperDown just kind of flourished from that. So that was cool. Pretty cool. Yeah.
No, I love that. I've spent some time in England. I actually lived in Totnes for a little bit.
Cool.
Built a guitar there. So the England rock scene is also super incredibly good, but I've never able to experience that underground scene. Did you go to shows in London? Did you go everywhere?
Yeah, I mean, I was mostly in the city, but I found out about bands like Apologies, I Have None, and things like that, which I was like,
what a British name.
I know. It's so polite. There's a comma in there and shit. I'm like, what's going on? They're really good. I ended up actually meeting their singer and stuff, and through another friend. And I played drums in this folk punk band, and then while playing guitar and Blissed Out. So I had inputs into the scene a little bit, but I was just there as kind of a visitor. So I was just kind of observing. It was cool.
Now, Brendan, you kind of joined all this stuff after everyone had done things. Did you play in bands as well beforehand, or did you meet Matt in England and came back through this?
It's actually funny. Matt and I had known each other for a while back, and we had kind of kept in touch every once in a while he was in London. I had actually moved to New York City for a couple of years, and I had been out of playing in bands for a while, but was starting to get the itch. I used to play a lot of drums and guitar and wasn't even so much a bassist, but Matt ended up moving back to Boston the same time I did, and they were looking for a bassist. So just texted me one day and said, absolutely, let's get into this. So
now
kind of switched over to that.
Let's talk about the itch. Now that is kind of the goofy part about all of this, because if you guys want to, what do you all do for a living outside of this?
I'll let you start, Corey.
I work in property management and real estate.
Incredible.
Pretty much. Just leave it at that. Don't really have a whole lot else to say about that. So
he's an incredible cook. Corey's an incredible cook, like an insane cook. So he's a property management and an awesome chef.
Just and band chef.
Yeah, he's like the drummer that like is a badass chef.
Hey, Matt, what do you do for a living outside of this?
I do graphic design, headwear and apparel design, and yeah.
Did you dabble in screen printing as well?
Only like a couple times. I've always wanted to get into the technical side because I like that sort of thing, tinkering with stuff, but I never had the space or the equipment. But
I always find that's
we got to talk to Brendan. Brendan just printed about 50 shirts, cut the screens and everything himself.
Brendan, are you screen printing?
Yeah, so I'm also a graphic designer, but I am currently unemployed. So I had some time. So I went and got all the screen printing stuff, and I've been wanting to do more of that stuff since I was in like art school and everything, but ended up kind of going more to the technical side now that I have the time. And we have a cool band name and different stuff. Started printing some stuff.
I love that. Specifically the cool band name thing, because again, every band name mentioned has been a cool band name. Now I always find it really interesting that I think now in this day and age, a lot of people can't do this as a full time. I don't want to interview, the Rolling Stones. I don't want to interview Vampire Weekend. I want to interview people that are like doing this on the side and doing the best that they can. They live these two lives. But a lot of times I find that people find those jobs that are still kind of in it, and screen printing and the digital side and the art side is still kind of like your toes are still in it. Is that kind of another draw that why you wanted to do this as a job, or like to kind of like stay in it as much as you could?
I think we're all kind of artists. And I think we're the fact if we can do a job that's, related to our art, it may be frustrating at times, but it's definitely better than, sitting there pushing numbers up a hill. Like with me, I own and operate a dog walking business, and I used to work in finance before I did that. So I went from dealing with people's money to dealing with people's dogs. And I'll tell you, I'd rather deal with their dogs every day of the week, but that job also gives me a lot of time to be able to, I make my own schedule. I can get out early if we get my stuff done early, and get out early if we need to do something. I mean, so for me, my scheduling being self-employed, stinks sometimes because you can't take as many days off because you're not making money if you take the day off when you're self-employed. But, I mean, it gives me a lot of the time I can do to if I have to hustle around and do some band stuff in between lunch or something like that, I can do that because I'm in the city. So
incredible. So we have real estate, 2 graphic designers, and a dog walker. I think that it's perfect. It's exactly kind of what everyone's supposed to be doing, a bunch of goofy things. I think these 2 lives, I don't know why we all want to do this. I think that there's some kind of craving. Again, I think it's that itch that we all, is it performing? Is it just playing music? Is it just the art side, like the big bucket art thing? I have no idea. But what do you think, keeps you in this weird treadmill of having to keep going through and making more art, making more music? Because you've all done this for so long.
Yeah, I think for me personally, and again, I'll let everyone else talk again, but I think for me personally, this music is like therapy for me. I would have to spend thousands of dollars talking to psychiatrists if I didn't play music. When I'm in between bands and I'm just playing acoustic in my room, that's fine too. I just need to be doing that expressive thing. For me, I'm not as talented as some of these other guys with other endeavors in art. So music is where I put most of my eggs. So, but I mean, for me that, and just a general drive, I mean, I don't know what it is. It just, I grew up skateboarding and it put that kind of personal investment in whatever you do mentality in my head. So I'm not going to not invest in the things I loved and the things that I enjoy, even if they don't bear the same fruit as, say, you know, something else I could be doing with my time. Like, I'm not looking for financial fruit. I'm looking for satisfaction of the soul fruit, you know?
I love that, because I think that I've never heard of skateboarding as, like, I think that there's a lot of skateboarders that go into music, but I've never thought of the personal, physical, mental, emotional investment like skateboarding has, that teaches you specifically, like, if you're going to go all in, you're going all in on like 6 or 7 different levels in order to skateboard. If you want to get better, you have to go in on everything. Are you the only person that skateboarded?
I think we all skateboarded passively, but I skateboarded competitively growing up. So unfortunately, it was at a time where nobody cared about skateboarding, and Tony Hawk had a day job. You know, it was, but you know, you just learn after all those falls, but then you get it, and then you lock that trick, and then you go to the next. I think it's just that persistence. Like, I didn't have many other things in my life that were so personalized to me and were expressive and persistent until music, obviously. But like, you know, skateboarding was that thing. And I find that I apply that to like a lot of things in my life. Like, I'm like, oh, well, you know, you got back up and skated around with a cast when you broke your arm, you dummy, you know, it's like, but you just kept doing it because you didn't want your legs to get out of practice. You know, it's just, so you were so committed to it. So,
yeah,
so all in.
It's so smart. Yeah, you've kind of changed my whole thought process on that, and thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm really thinking. I'm probably going to ask everyone that are interviewed if they ever skateboarded, because I think there's a direct line. I think there's this direct line. I didn't skateboard it. When I grew up. At the moment, there was this. I couldn't do, like, kickflip. I couldn't ollie or anything. So there was a famous Disney TV movie called Brink.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
I got really into rollerblading.
Teenage skaters.
Yeah. So Soul Skaters Forever. So the record's amazing. I love it front to back. I'm so glad that I get to talk to you all about it. What are y'all favorite songs from the record, and why?
Go ahead, boys.
Before you start.
I have to start.
You don't have to.
No, I'm joking. That's kind of a tough one for me, because I feel like songs where I play more simply always end up being my favorite. But I think for me, probably the last track, Stare. I don't know, that one just turned out so well on the record. I was really happy with the way that one turned out. Happy with the whole record, but yeah, I don't really have a reason as to why that one's my favorite. I just really like the way it sounds when you play it back in some headphones.
I think that it's one of the best closing tracks I've heard in a long time. I think when you guys made it, was there a moment that you knew that this was going to be the closer?
Oh yeah, because the way that outro is, it's just like, this has to be the last song in the set, or like this. So if that's the case, it's like, this kind of has to be the last song on the album. And Dom was going to probably talk about this at some point, but all of these songs were written sort of in order to the way that they are on the record. And Stare was the last song written. So
weird.
It kind of just, it's weird how the whole record sort of came together like that. Like, it's pretty much chronological, right, Dom?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, pretty much.
You know, songs that it was from starting points of songs. Yeah, 100%. I mean, the 3 first songs are the 3 songs we wrote first. I think Ships got moved around a little because Ships is a little deeper in the album, but we did that for a conscious reason. If you listen to the record on vinyl, it's kind of more obvious than it is when you listen to it digitally. But the front end of the album is kind of, you know, it starts with a bang and then kind of goes to I would guess, the more indie rock poppy feeling songs, like the more.
Yes.
And then once you flip the record over, it's like, uh-oh, here comes the darkness. And it's like the more dark, you know, maybe it was seasonal while we were writing them. I don't know. But like, you can definitely hear the shift from side A to side B, where there is like there's a darkness. And I mean, that was intentional too on our behalf when we were like trying to arrange the songs. It was like, yeah, these ones all fit with each other and these ones all fit with each other. So let's do a side by side like that.
I felt that the same. Well, so there are a couple of records that pop out in mind that you guys are going to be now a part of this as well as these other two records, where there's a definite switch between the front half and the back half. The first time you ever hear that, it's a Speaker Box Love Below by Outkast. Like the first half of that record, I think is Big Boy, and the other half is Andre 3000.
That's like, produced. I think they even produced it that way.
It's very specific that way. The other is Modern Baseball's Holy Ghost, where the front half is Jake and the back half is Brendan. And so who is the front half for and who is like the back half for on this record?
That's a cool question. I mean, as you were talking about it, as we were talking about how the front side was more like indie rock and the back side was a little bit more heavy. I mean, the front side is a little bit more hopeful and like in love. And then like the back side is like a little bit more like maybe the opposite of that. So at least from my perspective, vocally and lyrically, like that's kind of where it was.
I love that.
I agree with what Matt says a lot on that too, because it's kind of the front end is like got some more hope and it's more like, standing in a point of strength. And then the second half is like stuck in the despair, it definitely, you feel it more. There's more like, just Matt's vocals on some of those back end songs. You hear a strain at the end of a chorus or the end of a verse and you're just like, oh, I feel that. It's like, and I mean, I think the whole record's like that, but I think the front end is just catchier musically, even if there's darkness to the lyrics. It's just, the parts I played are definitely more in major keys and more like, I'm not like, oh yeah, I got to make sure I hit the jawbreaker note on the third.
Even the art for the record, it's the same thing. The whole left side of the house is completely fine. And the whole right side of the house is like about to be engulfed in flames.
Yeah, the master bedroom engulfed in flames is side B.
That's the secret name for the back half. If you guys ever have a print, you should have that like secretly inside of the art, where this is the house that's engulfed in flames.
Yeah, so the thing about that house in the cover, like we pulled that from the video. Obviously, it's a shot from the video, but Matt, having two graphic designers in your band makes for good art for your record. So, cool. Matt probably put in as much time, and I know Brendan applied a lot of assets to this as well, but Matt probably put in as much time doing the album art as he did recording the music. He did all the drawings on the inside by hand, scanned them in, made sure they were tight. He consulted us and asked us what we liked and what we didn't, but for the most part, he had a concept, and unless someone said, no, I don't like that, like it was running with it, Like I said, with Brendan and Matt both in the band, it makes for a good visual presentation for SuperDown, They're both really talented graphic people. So, but yeah, the record, that look was very conscious and Matt was in the soup on that one for a while. He was in the soup.
I think you can really feel the personalization too. He's got all the hand drawing, all the songs on the back of the record were written by hand and everything, and all laid out and collaged by Matt. So he put a lot of like time and effort and heart into the design, and it shows.
Now I have. Now you guys are all New England. Are there any Italians in your? Because there's a picture of Farfalle pasta. So who's the Italian? Or is that Corey because he's the cook?
I'm not the Italian.
I have some Italian heritage. I know Dominic does. I don't know if anyone else does.
So
I do not.
With a name
Not
like
me.
that, it's obvious. My parents are Italian. I'm like the Ellis Island generic mix. My mom's 100% Irish. My dad's 100% Italian.
Incredible.
So, yeah. Funny enough, though, by birth, because I'm adopted, I'm no Italian.
So you're honorary.
It's all personal. It's all personal experience Italian.
So for that single, All Right, it has that Farfalle pasta image. Now, please explain why you wanted to draw attention to pasta for this song.
Okay, so when I was drawing these symbols and trying to figure out what a symbol was going to be for each of these songs, All Right was a tough one because song is about like longing for more of a connection with someone, and they're constantly away, and when the other person's at home and this and that. And I was like drawing like mountains, and I was drawing roads, and I'm like, this isn't really like fitting in with the DNA of all the other items. So then I was like, oh, well, this reminds me of them. So, or this was
incredible.
So
I love that. And like, that's, I like that it was just one piece of pasta. It's like, it's either the last one or the first one, but it's something and it's special.
It's funny. Dom, I think, was the one who said it. Dom, what did you say it is? And it Farfalle is translates to or whatever.
Oh, butterfly. So it's it's about hope. Butterflies are hope, and so.
Stop! I'm gonna cry. That's
that was like just an extra thing that we found out. I was like, cool. After it was done, I was like, holy shit, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, I think it's like you tapped into something that was already like something you already knew, and past lives or something that you wanted to just get out there, and it perfectly like exemplified what you were trying to go for. That's incredible. All right, so we got a couple minutes left. What are you all listening to right now? Stuff that you want like either more recognition for, who are up and coming people that you're looking forward to see what they're going to do.
You're tuned into a lot more, I would say, on a day-to-day than most of us, though.
Well, I've been listening to like Fiddlehead a ton, Military Gun. I've been really into that new Slow Pulp record. It's insane. Mm-hmm. Boy Genius, mm-hmm. Boston Manor, Anxious, Webbed Wing. Those are like the bands that I've been marathoning a lot recently.
That Military Gun record is something else, right?
It's incredible, dude. It's like plucked straight from the 90s, man.
I sent it to my dad. And like my dad bought the CD. Like it was a really cute moment where I was like, okay, Dad, you're gonna love this. He had like come to visit me in Nashville, and I put on this record, and I was just listening to it on Spotify. And then he came when he sent me a picture when he went back home from Iowa, and he sent a picture of the CD he bought. And I thought it was the vinyl just because he didn't like have his hand by it. I was like, oh, cool vinyl. He goes, no, I bought the CD so I could play it in my car. And I'm like,
that's awesome.
It's such a weird thing for like the concept of like merch and all that stuff. Like I haven't bought a CD in I think 20 years. Like it's been that long.
Right.
I just got back into CDs for the same reason. I had a car with a cassette player for the longest time, and now I have a car with a CD player. It feels like a giant upgrade. So I've gone back through my old collection and spinning those. Yeah.
So what are you listening to right now? It's like just those old CDs that you have?
Well, I've been in really feeling the October spirit. So I've been listening to a lot of Misfits and like AFI, All Hallows EP. But, outside of that, a lot of like, I've been revisiting some like heavier punk rock and roll stuff like the Bronx and like Spiritual Cramp, bands like that.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And what about you, Dom?
I'm such a old fogey when it comes to my music. I'm such like if these guys don't put it in front of me, I tend to listen to the bands that like lately I've been listening to tons of Jets to Brazil for some reason. So we saw Jawbreaker, and I was like, man, his voice is so different from what it was back in the day. And that made me start, like, me and Matt. Corey just got married. So
Congratulations, Corey.
We played Corey's wedding band as a band. Like, we played covers at Corey's wedding as the band. So, yeah, that's getting me a little off track. But,
that's incredible.
Matt, we're driving home. We were listening to Jets to Brazil. And so it just kind of been on a super kick for the last month, just after that ride home through the mountains of Vermont after Corey's wedding, I tend to rediscover music because I listened to it so briefly at some periods of time because I'd be like so focused on like whatever was new at the time in indie rock or like, post-hardcore or whatever. So I go back a lot now, and it's weird. Bands that like I skipped over, I'm all of a sudden like, oh, why didn't I listen to this? And I gotta say, Corey's the master at reminding me of those bands. He'll send us like all on our group text, like, oh, I just discovered this record, and I'm like, holy shit, I haven't heard that record in like 15 years. I totally forgot that even existed. Like, he's great at that. Corey's like the reminder guy on the threads.
All right. So we're coming to like the last little bit. I'm going to play a song from one of y'all, but I want you to all pick it. So of the new record, what song do you think people should hear like right at the, like when it clicks in?
You want to all say it out loud, boys?
No, you guys say it.
It's hard for me to pick, so I'll let you guys do it.
Yeah.
Since everyone mentioned it in their like kind of talk, I would say Stairs, the one to.
Yeah, Stare.
All right, cool. So here's
that's a solid choice.
So here's Stare.
Wind me up like a toy, mama.
guys so much for coming on. That was Stare by SUPERDOWN. That's the closer of their new record that was released today, October 20th. When you guys are hearing this, that'll be a couple days ago. Hopefully you guys are jamming the shit out of this record. It's really, really cool. Y'all are on Count Your Lucky Stars Records. You guys are just good friends, good fucking people. Thank you guys so much for jumping on.
Thanks, man.
Thank you
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's great. And very fun, you know?